It's been 3 years since Michigan State beat a top 25 team. It's been nearly a decade since the Spartans beat the Buckeyes. That's what's on the line Saturday afternoon in East Lansing. Hey, how are you, folks? Jason Horowitz, glad to be with you on the college football previews presented by AT&T. Number 12, Ohio State. Number 20, Michigan State. Let's bring in Spencer Tillman, of course, of CBS Sports to break it down. And Spence, let's start with the Buckeyes, because you have pointed out numerous times that they should have leaped other teams because of some of the losses, but here they are, still sitting outside the top 10. What does that say about what people think about Ohio State this year?
Well, Jason, you've raised a great point. And again, not a lot of people are talking about it, but I think there's kind of a latency effect in terms of how we treat our superstar teams. Like USC is still managing to move up in the rankings despite a one loss to an Oregon State team that was unranked at the time. But now it's catching up to Ohio State, and this is a very important point. There are 4 teams also with one loss currently on their record that are ahead of Ohio State. I think in years past they would get more credibility than that, but the fact that 2 years running they have been totally decimated in postseason play by SEC teams really is starting to catch up with them. So you see no respect being shown by the voters, the coaches, and even in the Harris poll that shows up, although that's supposed to be kind of a blind component in all of this. But again, Ohio State's struggling for respect.
Spence, how much of that is the loss that they had to USC by 32 points, and how much of that is the fact that they have not had any offense since that loss, really struggling offensively with Terrell Pryor at the helm?
Great point. No touchdowns against Purdue. That's problematic. But it's weird because it doesn't work against USC. I mean, you know, USC beat them, but they had the built-in excuse of not having your top playmaker, Beanie Wells. And, of course, Beckman was the quarterback at the time, so Pryor wasn't under center for them. And since that time, so everybody was thinking in the circles that matters, the coaches and the polls and so forth, that was their one mulligan for the year. But, you know, since that time, they've not been able to generate a whole lot, at least in recent weeks. So, again, Pryor is certainly a weapon for them offensively, but he's a runner. And you and I have discussed this before. When your 2 top weapons are your runners, you, in my opinion, as far as I'm concerned, you're one-dimensional. And until he can find a way to get the ball with more consistency to his receivers, they're gonna have issues on the offensive side of the ball, Jason.
And there have been some discussions out of Columbus that, hey, look, people would like on that team to see Todd Beckman under center as well with Terrell Pryor. Now, in this game, of course, you're going to see 2 phenomenal running backs. You mentioned Chris Wells. Of course, you also have Javon Ringer from Michigan State. Who is going to have the bigger impact Saturday afternoon?
Well, you know, I've kind of been charting Javon Ringer, and he's one of my Heisman favorites. And again, his career has been really bizarre. I mean, you know, obviously, when you carry the ball as much as he does, you're going to be susceptible to injury. But he's been up 1 week, down 1 week, up 2 weeks, and then down another week. I think he was under 100 yards last week. But the guy is a workhorse, and I try to describe him to folks. He's basically Emmitt Smith on steroids, not literally on steroids, but he looks so much stronger and much faster than Emmitt Smith. And so I just want to see him continue to do well, because really the odds are against him. You're not going to carry the ball as much as he does and remain healthy. So I think Javon Ringer is going to be the guy that really shines above both running backs in this contest, because, you know, the Michigan State defense has been playing above its head lately, and I think they will continue to play against Ohio State.
Yeah, they really shut down Northwestern last weekend. But
yes,
when you talk about defense, Spence, of course, that's what you talk about at Ohio State. They held Purdue last week to 3 points. If they can shut down Javon Ringer, do you trust Brian Hoyer enough, the Michigan State quarterback, to take the Spartans to that victory?
No, I think his success is contingent upon Javon Ringer. If they can shut down Javon Ringer, then that makes it very difficult for Hoyer. Again, it's one of those deals where there's some quarterbacks that can win games by themselves. There are other quarterbacks that certainly can't do it. When you shut down one aspect of what they do, they really become a liability for you. And we've seen that throughout the landscape of college football, where there's excellent quarterback play, you're going to get victories more often than not. So that's really central for them. If they can stop Javon Ringer, I think they've got a win in the bucket.
All right, Spence, who's your winner in this game?
You know, again, I'm not going to depart from Javon Ringer. I don't think Ohio State can do it. I think that Javon Ringer, Pat Narduzzi, the defensive coordinator for Michigan State, has been playing well. He's got some great players. Meantime, Ohio State has got some injuries, not just on defense, but offensive as well. Alex Boone, one of their starting tackles, is out of the game, came out last week. He's got a knee issue. So, again, too much to overcome for Ohio State. I think Michigan State, the spoiler in the Big Ten this year, gets it done.
I agree with you on that. They could very well play spoiler this year. Spencer Tillman, thank you very much, sir. We'll talk to you soon.
Oh, Jason, we'll see you, buddy.
And, folks, don't forget about SEC Live. Of course, it's on CBSSports.com. Every game you see on CBS, you're going to see on CBSSports.com. This week, number 2 Alabama hosting Ole Miss. For Spencer Tillman, I'm Jason Horowitz. Take care, folks.